Hi, hello everybody. I welcome everybody joining us today for another design reflection series by Sissy Jam Flat Glass India. We are here to talk about design reflections, which is basically reflecting on designs of past, present, and future with interesting designers coming on board to share their journeys into design and reflecting over the period of time that they have spent in this industry. So let me tell you a little about Sissy Jam before I welcome our guest for this evening. Sissy Jam is Europe's number one glass producer of glass, which we know, exporting to 150 countries with operations across 14 countries and 4 continents, thus establishing a big global presence that we have now. With their global presence, the guest for today also has a wide recognition in the industry. Sissy Jam, like we know as well, is one of the top 3 global producers of glass, and it has glass in the top core main line of its business. With 85 years of experience or even more now in the glass industry and their strong expertise into design and glass, it holds a workforce of more than 22,000 employees now and with a revenue of over $3 billion. So Sissy Jam Flat Glass India is wanting to share this expertise for everybody with experts and designers from the industry. It's my pleasure to welcome you all in today's live and engaging session, which is called Design Reflections, like I said. And it is my pleasure to present it with Sissy Jam Flat Glass India, as the name reflected about past, present, and future. Let's just discuss the experiments and experiences with glass with designers. So I'm going to add the guest that we have for today, but let me tell you quickly about her. We would be welcoming architect Santha Gour. She is the alumni of prestigious Sir J.J. College of Architecture. She is the co-founder of Infinity Design Studio, and she leads the practice, which is a young dynamic team of internationally acclaimed practice. It's also represented the vanguard of new designs in India. So new designs, new people, young people, and also experienced people working with celebrity clients. Now celebrity clients, let me tell you a little more on the celebrity clientele when she joins with us. We will be talking about Amitabh Bachchan's house. We will be talking about Rajkumar Rao's house. Let's see what have they done in their designs and how they've taken it further. Welcoming her and welcoming the studio at large, and their work has been like displayed at museums, galleries in New York, Barcelona, Singapore, and they have their work across 30 prestigious international and design awards, which has really talked about how well that they have put forth their work in the industry. So no constraint is deemed one but seen as the parameter of design as they believe. Let me add architect Santha Gour. Let me tell you about me. I am architect Himani Ahuja, and I lead the firm called One Digital, and we make brand strategies and communication strategies for architects, designers, and brands across the nation and beyond. Let me welcome her, and let's see what she has to say reflecting about designs.
Sorry for that. Hi,
That's
Mike.
fine. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Good to hear you.
Yes,
And
and happy to have you on board with us as an expert over the design industry, talking about design, talking about glass, and various other things. And
thank you.
hope that we have an interesting conversation and we get to know a lot more from you, because you've been practicing this over years now, and literally visiting sites every day and in spite of everything. And let's welcome you on this session. which is called Design Reflections by Sissy Jam Flat Glass India. And let's start. Let's not wait even 1 minute. And I would say before we start, I would want you to say just 2 words about Infinity Design Studio so people can know a little more about the firm before we begin. I've done my bit of what I have really loved about the firm and you. So I would love to hear from you too.
Thank you so much for those very nice, wonderful, kind words. Uh, Infinity Design Studio is co-founded by myself and my partner Santha Gour. We have a very young, dynamic team, and we are currently doing projects in architecture and interiors. Architecture includes everything from high rise residential projects to public transportation buildings and even pilgrim reception center happening at Chhattisgarh. So basically, the work is happening pan India. Interiors is high end luxury residence interiors, commercial interiors, and now even retail interiors. So we're having a ball of a time, working hard. Our team keeps us inspired. I hope we do the same. And yeah, that's all about us. We love our work. We love to work hard, play hard. That's it.
Awesome, and I think that's the way it should be. So let's blur the boundaries a little more. We are here to talk about, blurring the boundaries. I want to know before we talk about blurring the boundaries with glass. Let me know. Let's blur the boundaries for the audience about you. Let's know a little more about you, your early life, and how you literally came into this profession, and what drove you to pick this career.
Long story. You really want to get into it.
Awesome, we'd
Um,
love it. We'd love it.
so for me getting into this profession, my dad is the culprit. I think my dad recognized some creative flair I must have shown when I was young, and so he kind of made me aware of this profession. I started liking it. My dad himself was a civil engineer who used to get home these huge building plans and everything. So I used to study them as a child, learn to read them, started liking it, started becoming aware of it. And of course, after I passed out of my 12th standard, there were a few avenues, of which one was architecture. I got through Sir JJ College of Architecture, which was one of the best colleges. And then I said, okay, this is it. So have loved every moment of the past. I think 30 years, 31 years that I have been in this profession, of course, counting the 5 years as a student also. And I hope I have benefited architecture also, have had a great time practicing this art.
Absolutely. And I think we love your work, and we keep seeing your work everywhere now and then. You got it from your dad that you started on building from, learning through an engineering angle to like a creative angle of design and execution. I want to know that, we everybody's got lucky, but how did you get lucky, or was it a planned approach of reaching to design for celebrities like Amitabh Bachchan? How did you design, have your design process for that, and did you balance it with the client requirement, or how did it reach there? Because we've loved your work for what you've done for Amitabh, what you've done for Rajkumar and various other celebrities.
No, see, everything is a process. Mr. Bachchan didn't happen overnight the day we passed out from college, neither for me nor Sam. We have been through our, years where we have learned, where we have practiced and honed our skills as such. But yes, I mean, things don't fall in anybody's lap. So you have to go out. You, of course, first and foremost, you have to do good work. Be
Right.
critical of your work. I think that's one thing that we both share. I don't think we would really be very happy with what we are doing because we forever trying to evolve. So it's very necessary to go back, analyze, see how we could have done it better. It's also very important to reach out to people, make
Right.
them aware that you exist. And I think then the rest is up to the universe. They do send the right kind of people around you, the right kind of projects, the right kind of work around you. For Mr. Bachchan also, a, how do you say, a well-wisher did recommend us for the project, and the rest is history. We had a great time working on the project. We enjoyed working on the project. There was a good learning. It
Right.
was a fantastic experience. And yeah, that's about it. The result is
Right,
all out for all you
right.
guys to see. I think he's a happy client, and that makes us happy too.
Right, right. Absolutely. I think happy client is what everybody requires and everybody wants for and aims for. And that's been there, then that's great. Okay, so talking about your design process, like you just said, that designs keep evolving, right? And you kind of learn with every project that you go ahead with. So is there a specific design structure that you follow apart from, obviously the new trends that come along, but is there any specific structure that at infinity that you follow, that okay, this is how we kind of structure our work?
So first, we try and keep away from the isms of architecture. For us, the most important is our client, what they
Right,
need, and of course, to give them something fresh. So we have to keep ourselves updated with what is happening. But it's very, very important to understand the psyche of a person, what they will like. So no two people are similar. So you will see there's a difference in all our projects, and we have tried to understand and evolve our designs from understanding the client themselves. So at the moment, also all the work that is happening, it's quite varied. It's quite different from one another because everybody is so unique in their own way. You know, their preferences are different, their likes are different, their budgets are different, their spaces are different. So
right,
everything has evolved from understanding that. So you cannot just say there's a formula, there's a trend that's happening, and I'm going to follow this trend and plaster it over all my 10 projects happening in the next 6 months. No, doesn't happen. Of course, some few elements you have to keep it fresh, so you do follow
yeah,
trends, but not everywhere. But
right.
not everywhere. So finally, it comes down to a right mix between keeping it fresh, understanding the client, and giving them what they need in their timelines and budget.
Right, right. Absolutely. Okay, so, since we are talking about trends, I mean, obviously, we have to keep evolving and adapt to certain things. But talking about some trends, if you can give us insights into from your recent projects, let's say the top three projects going on right now, or the five projects that are going on right now, is there anything new and innovative that you are putting across as you would like to say that this is a trend for us, or we are developing this at our end?
So, to come to the present, I'll just go take you a little bit back.
Yeah,
And so, if you see a few years earlier, so there was a lot of minimal design, there was a lot of this contemporary, modern design, everything was called contemporary,
yeah,
nevertheless. So, there was a lot of this, orthogonal 90-degree rigid, clean lines kind of work happening. But if you see now, just peep into Pinterest or whatever the trends are happening, I think that movement has shifted from these orthogonal edges to more fluid scapes. The beveled, the fillet edges, arches, fillet squares. It's more softer, it's more appealing. I would like to say it's more feminine, but that's how it is. So I think it has definitely shifted there. People have become more braver in experimenting with colors. Also goes to the fact that because now everything is available at the touch of a button. Earlier, when we had to study design, we had to open a magazine, go to the
yeah.
library. Now everything is available so instantly that almost everybody has landed on the same aesthetic kind of a platform. Everybody is aware of what is happening. So thus makes people aware of the latest furniture designs, colors. People are ready to experiment more. People are ready to try out more. It was difficult earlier to convince people to try out wooden flooring also. And now everybody's like, I want wooden flooring.
Wow,
So
I
anyways,
since the time that I've seen it, everybody has wooden flooring. So I think that's
exactly.
become the thing now.
Yeah, but then coming to design lines, design language, I think it is more pleasing to the eye. There's a lot of innovation happening and there's a lot of experimentation happening in, organic natural fiber materials.
Right.
So you'll see a lot of jute coming in. You'll see a lot of coir being experimented with, like the chairs, the
Yeah.
backs of the chairs, a lot of net kind of old, slightly the 1960s, 70s designs coming back, materials
The
coming back,
wicker
more of
and the
organic materials coming back.
right,
Sorry.
right. The wicker and
So
the
that,
classic furniture. That's
yes,
also
so a
come
lot of
back now. Yeah.
that's happening. A lot of natural stone is being experimented with. And I'm not just talking about myself, I'm also talking elsewhere. But another interesting trend happening is a lot of experimentation in metal.
Right.
Metalworks, fabrication. So somehow it just fuses very nicely. A lot of things in glass happening. So I
Yeah.
mean, though we are having this, opportunity to interact courtesy CCCAM, but I would really like to say that the glass industry has really provided us now with a good palette of
Right.
fluted glass, textured glass, tinted glass. So how we are incorporating that in our interiors has really added an interesting dimension to the whole thing.
Right, right. I think over time, glass has also evolved. Like, we've always seen initially
Absolutely.
that it used to be one specific transparent glass that, everybody used to have on all tables or
Yes,
all partitions. But now there is so much of variation and interplay of color,
absolutely.
texture, everything. So, sure. So,
Absolutely.
now we've come to glass. Let's talk about glass and let's talk about blurring the boundaries that, it's been doing now since the last couple of years specifically. So I would like to know that how do you think that this paradigm shift of connecting interior and exterior came into play? Suddenly there was a time that instead of brick walls, people started making glass partitions, and then everything changed from maybe every wall becoming glass. So what do you have to say for it?
So again, to speak for the present, I'll go back a little. So
Yeah,
earlier you see, people were more private.
yeah,
People like to have their veneer or wood finished cabins, the paneled cabins and everything. But now with the open office culture coming in, everything, even if you might be sitting inside your cabin, but if you just put up something on Facebook, it's instantly available to your office
yeah,
outside. So basically the world has flattened out. It's become more transparent. So why not the materials? Okay.
right,
Plus, I think people actually wanted to. They all actually wanted to interact. The hierarchies were going. The
right,
hierarchies between the higher management, the top management, the middle management, everything was going. Some of the top management sits now with the employees and works together.
yeah,
So why
yeah,
not? If you want acoustical privacy, then yes, you go into a glass cable.
right, right,
So why not? And then glass, as I said, is providing us with such a fantastic palette, colored glass, e glass. So it's adding to the interiors, the richness
right,
of the interiors.
right,
So people are moving to the blurring of the inside outside. Yes, I mean, you want to have a private conversation, you want to scream at somebody, go inside the classroom and scream. But at the same time, your visual connect with the office outside is still there,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So it doesn't really
So,
have to be completely disconnected, for sure. And
yeah,
people are
exactly.
about more of open studios and open culture. And probably the culture has also added value to the change of materials that we've been doing now. Absolutely, I agree with you. So what are the different approaches when you talk about glass adding value to the interior grammar of a space? So one, we've talked about partitions. What are the other different approaches that can link to this?
So I have always and my belief, I always believe that glass is a great catalyst in lending itself to any kind of interiors. Whether you are doing a thematic interiors, whether you're doing a home design or office design, which is period design.
Right.
It blends in very nicely. That is plain glass. I'm talking plate glass. But
Yeah.
then, of course, there are so many innovations. There is glass brick happening. There is that beautiful glass bricks that we used to see in 1960s 17s. It has evolved. There are colors infused in it. Now you have laminated glass. We had recently done a very high end luxury office where we had a beautiful fabric which was infused between two glass, and it lent itself so well to the, it added another dimension to that glass partition. As I said, there is fluted glass. There is tinted color in that fluted glass. What else is happening? There is textured glass. Bent glass was always there. Plus, there are so many. The other industry has awakened to the fact, various applications like the films that can be applied on glass. I'm moving
Yeah.
towards films, but then how it adds to glass itself, how it adds, I can add a red colored film and I can have a beautiful cabin, inside it. It's a beautiful atmosphere inside. So all of these
Right.
people who have come to enhance the beauty of glass also has helped in us
Right.
using glass in a better manner.
Right. Absolutely. Like you said, that catalyst. So the core foundation, like of any project, has been glass, where it adds value, where you can play around with it
Absolutely.
better. So absolutely. So how do you
It
think?
doesn't take away. It
Right.
doesn't, sorry, it doesn't take away from whatever interiors you're doing. It seamlessly
Right.
just blends in into whatever you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, how do you think now, talking about since, we've all been staying in urban cities and, developing this culture of having, tighter spaces each day that we kind of, go on that, we have tighter spaces, we have penthouses, we have everything shifting from a villa to a penthouse, villa to an apartment. So, that shift has happened. So, space constraint is always going to be there specifically for urban cities. So when I talk about connecting with the environment, that has been the key focus. And, everybody tries their best to, maybe sit out, at least have a cup of coffee in the greens, or at least look out in the greens. So how do you think that, this connection with the environment affects a user of the space? And do you think that glass in a certain way adds value specifically for urban, market?
It does add value. Matlab, imagine, as you rightly said, you're having a cup of tea in the morning, sitting in the balcony, whatever that, the balcony is the lawn, equivalent of a lawn if you
Yeah,
are staying
yeah,
elsewhere. But of course, I mean, you enjoy the environment more with glass. But glass also protects you from the elements. If it is too hot, you would love to come inside,
yeah.
enjoy the air conditioning, but at the same time watching the sea view if you have a fantastic apartment facing Bandra. So that's how it is. You can enjoy early morning temperatures, but you can even just eat inside. You can
Right.
so I think it has very nicely adapted to our modern lifestyle.
Right, right. So, what do you have to say on, let's say, biophilic designs? Because that's been, trending, talking about, connecting nature and light. So, what do you have to say on that? How do you
So
infuse that in your projects?
very important. Biophilia has been an element in our designs and a lot of our projects, and rightly so. I mean, there are a lot of studies that have been conducted on how humans perform better uh, in a slightly greener environment. So earlier, if you saw, office spaces were devoid of even planters, but nowadays you see people are going in for huge green walls. Not only that, green walls which are which contain aromatic herbs, they help you in relaxing yourself. So in the end, the productivity increases
Right,
if you are in an office environment. Not only the
right.
productivity, you yourself end up living happy. There is a fantastic TED lecture by IIT professor, I think from India, where he said actually addition of three plants in your office environment, in a certain numbers of course, increases the oxygen level to so much that the entire productivity in your office environment, in your office space, increases by 10 to 15%, and that's
Wow.
huge.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, that is one. That is the mathematics of it. But I seriously think it anyways feels nice, feels good to have some greenery, biophilia, whatever around
yeah.
you. So yes, it's a no-brainer.
Right, absolutely. So, now, environment adds value in a certain way to kind of add to the calm that we can get, or maybe the stress-free environment that it could create. But, maximized, use of glass could also mean that there is variation of temperature. So, how well that can be taken care of. Like, let's say if there's sun direction, so if we have a complete glass wall that side, so it can increase the temperature also, apart from decreasing, giving us a better view to the outside world, right? So how do you balance that variation of temperature when you are playing around with glass specifically?
But you know what? If I've got the question right,
Right.
you're trying to ask me if I have an air-conditioned atmosphere
That's
inside, how the glass will help me in not bringing in the heat, so my
yes.
AC load remains less. Is that the question? Is that, have I got it right? So then, okay, coming to that, there are so many new applications. As I said, there are so many different types of glass. There are applications, there are film applications, there are ceramic coatings on glass, which you do. There are laminated glasses, there are vacuum based glasses. So all of these, I mean, and each and everything has an application. There is reflective glass. So you have reflective glass in certain grades, percentage grades. So if you are using a reflective glass of 25% reflection or whatever, so
Right.
you will have the heat cut off to that level. Thereby, the heat entering your premises is less, thereby reducing your AC load, thereby reducing your electricity bill. So, likewise, there are so many applications where glass will not take away from your fantastic view that you had sitting on your 40th floor or 45th floor high rise in Mumbai watching the sea. But it will also help you in climate control. It will help you in keeping your spaces cool.
Right.
So the mud architecture where the mud walls kept your internals of the house cool, glass also does the same.
Right.
At the
I think
same time,
it's
adds
a myth.
beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because that's been a huge myth, and specifically since the time that the skyline started changing of different cities, people started questioning about the use of glass and extensive use of glass that was done. So to balance that out, I think we could work out our numbers and work out how we can play around with glass, right?
absolutely. You are working with computers, they need to be kept in a certain atmosphere. You need those glass buildings. And why not? They are easy to maintain. They don't need to be painted every now and then.
Right.
So they look fresh for a much longer time.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, that's a different take, but I think that's the way forward, right? Because I think we need to break these myths for people to understand that it's a safe material, and you can go ahead and use glass extensively.
Absolutely. I mean, outside Dubai has built skyscrapers where you have
Right.
sandstorms happening, where you have crazy weather elements happening, but
Yeah.
yet those buildings have withstood that onslaught of weather. It's a
Right.
pretty safe material.
Right, right, absolutely. Okay, so what sort of materials, like you were talking about filming, okay? That the films on the glass, add value to changing its texture. Now, I want to understand what are the materials that can go well with glass in an environment, because glass itself is a strong material that kind of takes away the focus. So when you're working with different materials on one specific site, or maybe one specific space, let's say if it's a living space or like a bedroom space, so how do you, and which kind of textures that you can play around when we are using glass?
So, as I earlier mentioned, glass seamlessly blends itself into any interior format, and glass goes very well if you're using veneer, wooden. So, I'm talking a certain palette. It
Yeah.
also goes well if you have a fabric backed. Wall paneling happening, if you have leather paneling happening, if you have ACP happening, if you have tiles happening, whatever it is, even if you're using Italian marble and glass, it goes very well. But something that we are currently really liking using is the fluted glass, and we're really using that in most of our projects, even for beautiful cabinets that we are making, and we're adding those Georgian bar details. They look really amazing,
Right.
appeals to a lot of people. So really enjoying doing that.
Absolutely, I think that's a beautiful texture that glass is given.
Beautiful.
And
Yes,
I would say that's also a trend that we were talking about, that
that's the trend happening. Yes.
people are totally adapting to fluted glass, and that's a new way that it's going forward with. Okay, so since we were talking about your celebrity projects and you are sharing about fluted glass being used in projects, so can you just share maybe one example of glass being used in a celebrity home or a celebrity project that you've done, and adaptability of the space with different textures that you've used in that project?
So we currently used glass in celebrity residences, where we have used it in wardrobes, where we have used it in crockery cabinets, fluted glass, where we have used tinted glasses for wardrobes, and when they are lit up beautifully, of course, you have to keep the wardrobe in a certain structure.
Yeah.
You cannot make a mess inside, but then it looks really beautiful, and with all the beautiful aluminum profiles that come in fantastic new finishes, it looks
Right.
great. So current experimentation is going on with tinted glasses and fluted glasses.
Okay, all right. Okay. So, can you tell me that, now that we were talking about materials and the evolution, you've talked about the past coming back, we were talking about wicker coming back, we were talking about net
Makeup.
coming back, and
Yes.
we were talking about how, further on now glass has been there since, these timelines of period, and it's evolving, right? So, do you think that it's brought about a certain change in the space making techniques also, that in architecture, that basically designers used to adapt earlier and now?
Okay, let me take office spaces. Office spaces have become more open.
Right.
Gone are the cabins which put you in a certain hierarchy. So glass opens up, so you have this more beautiful, transparent office spaces happening. Coming to homes, there's this. I don't agree with it, but there is this trend of bedrooms opening up to your bathrooms and those
Right.
walls being
Right.
demolished and all the bathrooms opening onto the bedroom sleeping areas. But if you need, you can pull up the bathroom and enclose that and you can make a separate space.
Right.
I don't agree. I like my privacy, but so the boundaries are diminishing. So
Right.
when you want, it's an open space and glass just can, if glass partitions come in, you can just enclose the space and you are right back to having your own private area. So yes, these kind of things are happening. There are lit partitions that people are doing. We have also done in certain hospitality projects that we had done.
Right.
Underlit glass, I'm sorry, underlit glass, not lit projects, underlit glass kind of materials that look beautiful in a bar area and so on. So
Great, great,
that's it.
absolutely. So I think we can summarize on the fact that it's a boundless material, and it's a barrier-free material which can kind of extend different boundaries and yet be segregated, yet keep things segregated, and yet not completely disconnect somebody from a certain
Absolutely.
set, right? So absolutely. Okay, so now that we've established that glass is a progressive material, I would want to know that reflecting on a design reflection of yours, like what has been a design reflection moment for you, basically reflecting over your career and your path. What has been a moment that you would say this was my design reflection moment?
My God, I think design reflections happen every day on every project. So I cannot choose a design reflection moment, but I can give you a design theory that I follow.
Sure,
Uh,
absolutely, we'd love to hear
I yeah, I don't know about the moment part. Eureka moment तो ऐसे बहुत आते हैं. But I think something that we really follow is to treat every project with a beginner's mind. To treat every project like you've not done anything earlier, which is what keeps, I think, of certain freshness to designs. Otherwise, you take it for granted. So, the need to continuously keep evolving, trying out new things, experimenting with new materials, I think that's a so that eureka moment happens when I see something I don't like it, so I go back. यार कुछ नहीं करते हैं, this is not happening. So that is my design moment or reflection or whatever. When I'm reflecting and I'm not happy with something and I'm like, this has to be changed. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that. I hope it came somewhere close to what you were intending, but
No, no, absolutely. I mean, I think a design reflection moment is very personal, and I think everybody has a different way of putting it forward, and I think that's great that you go back and you kind of bring ahead different innovative designs for each one of us to look at, and be amazed on what design has progressed into. Thank you, Santa, for joining in and for sharing your design reflections, talking about your past,
thank
present,
you.
future, and how as progressively infinity design has adapted to the use of glass and different materials all across. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you, dear. You kind. Thank you so much from myself, Sam, and my entire team at Infinity. Thank you.